Adventure in Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wait a sec, give me just a minute. Paranoia flooding my heart, and I'm afraid that it won't stop. That it won't stop.
We're on the Adventures of Pipeman W4CY Radio, and I'm here with our next guest, traveling over the pond once again. I love going over there because they have such great music over in the UK. And now we have like one of the coolest new London bands. And we have Felix with us from Help. How are you?
Hello, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, my pleasure, my pleasure. And I was listening to your debut single, Break, and not only do I think it is a badass song, but I think a lot of people can really relate to the message.
Well, I'm glad you think that. I mean, the song is, honestly, it was written a long time ago, and we were just sort of waiting for the right time to put it out, and kind of felt like the right song to come out the doors with. And yeah, it kind of, the song sounds like the name, I guess.
I know, right? And I mean, listen, I think we're all kind of our own worst enemy, aren't we? In some way or another. And that's why I think everybody can relate to it. So what created the thoughts to make this song?
I think it actually came from the instrumental. Usually the way I do it is I'll write the songs instrumentally first, and then see what I can do, and usually judge it off of like, what does it kind of feel like the song's trying to say a little bit. And it was just so kind of in your face. I was like, I feel like it, obviously the theme has to relate to what it feels like. And I guess at the time I was going through a couple problems within music and whatever. I think like everyone does. And that kind of inspired it, and it kind of came out pretty cool and came together pretty nicely.
See, and that's the cool part about taking things that might be a negative and turning them into a song to make it a positive, and therapy, and just get it out.
Totally. Well, that's what music is, right? I mean, I think most people that write music is to kind of let it out. Some people journal, and some people can sing it. So definitely that's the way I've always done it.
Well, and I think the singing part is where all the emotion comes from. Like, you can journal stuff and it's good, but it's not really I think music more delves into the emotion than journaling. And I think that's why, most artists are their own worst enemy, their own worst critic. And then, yeah, there's a lot of things that artists have to deal with being in the music business. I mean, the most fun part is making the music and performing it, but everything else is the not fun part sometimes.
It's difficult because it's a business, but it doesn't work like a business in any way whatsoever. So it's definitely hard to kind of wiggle your way around. But once you kind of latch onto some good people and you have them around, then it flows pretty well.
So tell me, what were those moments that led up to the forming of Help and the people that you have surrounded yourself with?
Sure. Yeah. So actually the concept of Help is pretty new. I was auditioning for this band in LA earlier this year. Oh no, I guess last year now, in April. And I just kind of had this idea of this band kind of being a bit more punky and whatever. I've always been like a solo guy before this. And I ran it by a couple people, and everyone seemed to really like it. Pretty much everyone I ran it by. And I thought the music that I had backed up also matched the kind of image I was trying to portray. And it came about fairly quickly. I was put in contact with Shelter Music Management, who I've been trying to get in contact with for years. So I was pretty happy with that. And because of them, they've sort of surrounded me with some good people. I'm in London, so this is a pretty good hub for the heavy scene. And actually, I've been totally pleased. It's a completely different experience from my previous endeavors doing solo stuff and whatever. So yeah, I'm really pleased, and how it's come about so quick.
So would you say then it looks to me like you're happy that you have gone and blossomed into this band from solo, and there's a lot of benefits to it?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing I think is like, when you see like a band poster of like, who's playing this venue or whatever, if I walked past it and I saw someone's name, I'll be like, I personally wouldn't really care that much. But then if you see a really cool name for a band, even if you don't know the band, you're kind of like, you're more interested, or at least in my opinion. And I just thought the name Help was so good, and it really, kind of punches you in the face. It feels like you already know a band called Help,
Yeah, totally.
So I kind of got lucky with that one a little bit.
And you're so right too, because even like the big bands, when even the like front person goes off and does solo stuff, it's not received the same as the band.
No, I think the only person that's really worked with is Ozzy, but even
Yes.
That's not even his name though. That's his stage name.
Totally.
So I think it depends. It depends on the music, and the music that we're releasing is band music. It's not one person on stage. Bon Jovi could kind of get away with it. He's a bit poppy. He's that kind of guy. It's him. It sounds like, he's singing, not just the band.
Right. And you're so right about Ozzy, but I think Ozzy too, like he's had some of the greatest musicians throughout his solo career. And I think that's what made him Ozzy, along with himself, obviously, but without them, maybe we wouldn't have had the same outcome.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think it also probably his voice helped a lot, because no one is ever going to sound like him, and no one sounded like him before, so that definitely helped him out a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, you're right, because like you have a bunch of these tribute bands coming and playing now, and I listen to them, I'm like, yeah, it sounds like the song, but it doesn't sound like Ozzy.
No, yeah, I think it's a little bit like the problem with rock now. I mean, there's some amazing bands out, but you go onto a rock playlist and it all sounds like the same band, and it just gets a bit boring after a while. And I guess that's what we're trying to do, to kind of change it up a bit, switch it up, and not just do the same thing that everyone else is. And they're successful in it, and that's great. But it's definitely, the down the middle rock stuff is not what we're looking at.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because I'm one of those people that I've said, like, nowadays, compared to going back in the beginning of like metal and hard rock, you didn't have a formula then. And it's almost like bands have a formula now.
Yeah,
definitely. I call it like an algebraic equation, and like metal should
Didn't even know
not
that was a
have
word.
that. Right? Metal shouldn't have that. Hard rock shouldn't have that. And I don't think rock in general should, because the whole point is, you take some of the greatest bands in history, they didn't sound like anybody else. And they had like blending of different influences to make a unique sound. And I think that's what I heard when I heard your song.
Well, I'm glad you think that. That's what I'm trying to do. But yeah, you're definitely right. There's a blueprint that everyone follows, and actually it makes sense. Like, I'm guilty of writing music that sounds like other people, but it's because everything has been done and everyone's trying to do it. So
Right.
it does make sense. These older bands like, even like Dio and Ozzy and stuff, like there wasn't anyone like them before. So I'm not saying it's easy, but it was probably easier to be a bit more unique, because there's less competition. But now, it's like a million songs go on Spotify every day. It's like you're competing with a lot of people.
And that's why it's good to put your own individuality into it, and that's what I feel you guys do. What else can we expect from you this year?
Well, I'm not going to say anything set in stone, because I'll leave it as a bit of a surprise, but there's this this year we're planning a lot to do with, of course, releasing new music, but with shows as well. I mean, we all just want to go out and play, and especially in a place like this with awesome venues and so many great bands, as you mentioned before, in the UK. But very, very soon there'll be lots of announcements of shows, possibly some festivals, some cool stuff, and we're super excited. We're gearing up for it.
Nice. I hope it's one of the festivals that I cover, because you guys would probably be badass live.
Oh, well, fingers crossed, man. We'll see what you can do.
Right. So now, what started it all for you as a musician? When was that moment in time where you were like, this is just me and this is what I'm gonna do?
Man, it was a long time ago. I think, well, the earliest memory I have is watching, I think it was a live version of Nothing Else Matters. And it was just Kirk playing the intro, and it was so good. And I at this point, I already had guitars because I thought they looked cool, but I didn't know how to play or anything like that when I was very young. And I think from that moment, that's how I, what got me into it. And, you know, I grew up in the Middle East. I was born in Bahrain and grew up in Dubai. And, you know, there's not a big metal scene there at all. I mean, there's not even a music scene.
Right.
So it was definitely a bit difficult, you know, trying to get bands together and stuff, but we did what we could. And I think moving to London definitely helped, you know, definitely getting around other musicians and whatever. But Metallica, pretty much, that's what started it. I think this is the same for a lot of people, you know.
Yeah, I went to their first show ever, so definitely for me.
Wow, that's not bad.
Right? It was like, after going to shows like that in a club, I was like, I'm never going to a real concert ever again. Because, you know, when you see bands in that intimate space when you're like a teenager,
yeah,
I think it changes your life completely.
Yeah, well, the bar's set so high.
Right?
So it's like when you see someone else, you're like, it was good, but it wasn't as good.
Right,
Yeah.
Totally. All right, well, is there anything else you want to share with the listeners that we haven't covered already?
I mean, I really appreciate speaking with you, and I'm really glad you like the music and had me on. So yeah, I'm hoping to see you in the future, maybe at one of these festivals.
Absolutely, I hope so. And let's tell everybody how they can reach out to you guys on socials, on the web,
Sure.
get your music, and find out about all your tour dates, all that good stuff.
Sure, yeah. I mean, so the Instagram is the band Help. On YouTube, all the music videos there, it's just Help with an exclamation mark. You got to remember that. Same on Spotify, Apple Music, it's all there. So if you put the exclamation mark, it'll come up.
There you go. Well, thanks for all the help. And,
yeah, exactly.
Thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipeman.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.